Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this one, what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to complete this lab. This is for migrating Hyper-V VMs to Azure by using Azure Migrate. Now this Azure Migrate is heavily covered if you are especially preparing for the 303 or 304 as your architect expert exam. So this would be a very good lab for you to cover. Since I'm doing this for the first time, I may get stuck, so just stay with me and we'll resolve the problem if we see any. So you might get a chance to learn some troubleshooting exercise as well. So really this is what we're going to do, migrating Hyper-V VMs to Azure using Azure Migrate. And what is Azure Migrate? You gotta have a little bit of idea. It's a centralized hub to access and migrate to Azure on-premises servers, infrastructure, application, and data. So if you have servers, infrastructure, applications, or data on-prem, you can use Azure Migrate to move them to Azure. There are multiple related tools inside the Azure Migrate. You're gonna have Azure Migrate Server Assessment. You're gonna have Azure Migrate Server Migration. Then you can migrate servers, databases, web applications, virtual desktops, and data. There are multiple different tools available. It's a little overwhelming how much it can do, but we're going to work on this lab to understand most of it. So objectives: prepare a Hyper-V for assessment and migration by using the Azure Migrate, assess Hyper-V migration by using Azure Migrate, and the third thing, migrate Hyper-V VMs by using Azure Migrate. So let's go to our lab and just take a look a little bit. And the first thing we really need to do, prepare the Hyper-V assessment and migration. So we got to create a demo environment, okay, before we can do anything. So that is what we're gonna do next. Alright everyone, so to get started with this lab environment, what we really need to do, we need to deploy one of the particular file. And that, if you go over here, the way you find it, you go back to the labs and you gotta go back one more. Let's just go back over here and all files labs. If you go in there, here is folder 8 and this is the file that you want. Okay, so you can get the file, you can go to the raw version and you can save this file. Let's save it somewhere over here under downloads. Okay, and then you come back come back over here. Oh, go back to your labs. Just give me a second. Instructions, this is the one that we're doing. So go back, verify this is the file that you wanted. Okay, and then our real deployment starts. So now we have to go to the Azure portal. So let's just do that. Let's just go to the Azure portal and you gotta have a valid subscription available. And then what you need to do, we are going to do that using the Cloud Shell. Okay, so we're gonna open the PowerShell, and if you do not have any storage account, it's gonna ask you to create one. If you don't know much, just hit yes and it will create a storage account. We're going to upload this JSON file. Once this is done, we are going to do the deployment using this particular command. So we're going to define a location, and I'm going to use East US, and then we're going to deploy. So let's just start doing that. So over here, the way you go to the Cloud Shell, again you click on this little tiny icon, and when it's ready, you should get the command prompt. Okay, so let's just get that. As soon as this is available, we are ready to start typing. Okay, so it's almost there. It takes probably 10-15 seconds. So here right now it's available to me. Before I do anything, here is the button that you need to click to upload the JSON file that we downloaded. So go back to your documents and our downloads. Okay, and the other way I downloaded the whole Git project and I unzip that one, so I can also go do it this way. Go to all files, labs 8, and this is the file 30308 suba.json. Okay, so let's get that and verify 30308 suba.json. That's the file that we wanted. So that file is now says upload is complete, is available to our environment here. So now I need to define a location. Alright, so copy this one over here. Let's paste this, and I say I want the East US. That's my favorite location, East US, and hit enter. So now we have defined the East US. Now we are ready to run and deploy this particular JSON file that we have uploaded. Okay, so if you click this one and read the command new AZ subscription deployment, location is coming from here, this variable name, this is the file name, okay, that we have downloaded. Where it's located, the template is home, and this JSON, this because I uploaded. If I do a ls on it, you will find this file. Again, resource group location is this same location. Resource group name is going to be this. Okay, once you have this, you hit enter, and it is going to start the deployment of that particular file. Now it says, yeah, everything is good, everything is successful. There we go. So this is a resource group name. So now if you go to the portal, go to the resource group, it should show up. Sometimes it takes a couple minutes. If it does not, just give it a minute and refresh. This is also looks like taking a little bit of time. Let's see if it's showing up or not. Yeah, it showed up. So AZ30308A lab RG, so that did show up. It's a little weird because this lab says it's a lab 3 module 3, but it's showing up as 8, but that's okay. Now in the Azure portal, now we can close the Cloud Shell, and from your lab computer browse to nested VM virtual network Azure QuickStart template. Let's see what that is. This is new QuickStart nested VM in virtual network. Okay, so let's see what that is. Let's go to this one. This is, wow, a lot of configurations, a lot of files in here. So let's go back over. Sorry, I'm too far. Go back. So here we need to do something. So let's come back over here, and let's see, from a lab computer, open another browser tab, navigate to this one. So let's just open to this one, another tab, and select deploy to Azure. So in this one, do I have a deploy to Azure button available? Yes, I do. So this is a quick start template, okay, and this quick start template is going to create nested VMs in a virtual network. So if you look at it, this template will automate the deployment of a virtual machine to be a Hyper-V host to be used for nested virtualization. Nested virtual machine will be able to communicate out to the internet and to other resources on your network. This setup is completed based on the procedure from the article, and you can read up the article if you like. This template creates the following resources by default, and you have a whole bunch. If you want to look at what they're deploying, you can also click on the visualize, open a tab, and it's going to give you a visual view of all the stuff. Okay, you can scroll your button to make it bigger or smaller. Here you are seeing your network interface. So I see 2 network interfaces right there, 1 virtual network, and some additional Windows features. So this is the virtual machine host. It is a public IP. Probably some more NAT rules and stuff like that. So a whole bunch of things they're being deployed. And where is it? Here this is telling you what are the resources. Is a virtual network with 4 subnets, virtual machine to be a Hyper-V host, public IP address for remote access to Hyper-V host, network security groups with default rules, route table for Azure virtual machines to communicate with nested virtual machines, DSC extension to install Windows feature, and finally custom script extension to configure Hyper-V server. So all you need to do at this time, you need to click on the Azure deploy to Azure, and if you are already logged in, it will automatically start the deployment if the validation is successful. It's not going to ask you, hey, do you really want to continue? It's not going to ask you, but first you need to fill up some items here. Okay, so resource group, it most likely they're gonna say choose this resource group that you have created, right? Subscription is good. So resource group, the group that we created, so let's just choose that one, this one. Region is automatically selected at East US based on this group. Artifacts, location, SAS tokens. Is there anything we need to do there? So let's look at it. It's nothing there. So host public IP address name, usually, you know, let's see, host IP public address name. So this one, let me make sure that this is what the Hyper-V virtual nested blade and the Azure portal specify the following settings. Leave other to their default values. So yeah, we do need to change host public IP address name. So host public IP address name, I'm going to change that to match with the lab direction. So this is what I'm going to use. The next is virtual network name. Let's copy that one. Virtual network name, I'm going to copy that and make it again similar to what they are recommending in the lab. Host network interface first. Let's come on over here. Host network interface 1 name is this, and then we have host network interface 2. So let's copy this one, come over here, interface 2, we got that one as well. So next is host virtual machine name. So let's get that one. Usually name is at the top, host virtual machine name. You can see host subnet, host virtual machine name. So let's change that one to match our lab. Host admin username is gonna be student. Host admin username is student, and host admin password is going to be our most secret password over here. Alright, so I think we have got the parameters that we needed for this deployment. On the Hyper-V virtual host machine with nested blade, select review plus create and then select create. Okay, so let's come over here. So that's the only button that you have, review plus create. So create, if you could do that one, you can save the password if you like, and then yeah, validation is successful. So I'm just gonna hit on create and it should start the deployment of this particular template. And if I have enough resources available for the deployment would be successful. So while it's deploying, let's go back and read what else that we need to do. So far what we have done, we have completed the task 1. Okay, and this task 1, we are really preparing the lab environment, and we are not probably completely done. Okay, once this deployment is done, and it says the deployment might take about 10 minutes, so I'm gonna pause the video for about 10 minutes and come back. So once this is done, we are going to configure the nested virtualization in the Azure VM. So let's go back, take a look at what's going on. It's still deploying. You can also look at the status from here as well. So I'm going to pause the video and be back in about 10 minutes. Hey everyone, just wanted to stop by about 9 minutes in, and the deployment is still in progress. Looks like a whole bunch of resources got deployed, but it's not done yet. So if you look at, we got the NAT SG, the NSG, we got that. We got ghosted NSG, Azure VM NSG, a whole bunch of NSGs looks like. We got the NIC, we got the virtual machine. So a whole bunch of things got deployed, and it's going well. Deployment is progress, I haven't seen any error. And it's just about 10 minutes now, so I'm just going to give it a little bit longer. and be back and continue. Alright everyone, I'm back and it's been a little bit since then, and it looks like our deployment is now done. So I can go to the resource group at this time, and I should have all the resources that I was supposed to deploy with this template. So I didn't have any issues. It says deployment 2 of them, both of them are successful. The first one is probably update the networking, and this is the main one. It took 15 minutes and 3 seconds when we deployed this one, although from here it said about 10 minutes. Okay, so we're done with task 1 by this time. So let's start with task 2. Task 2 is about configuring the nested virtualization in the Azure VM. So what we need to do here in the Azure portal, search and select virtual machines, and then select the HV VM. So as a matter of fact, you don't even search for the virtual machine. Since you know the name of it, you can directly search for this one, and let me show you that. So let's just come over here. If you know the name of the resource, just search for it here. It's going to show up. Select that one and just get to it. Okay, that reduces one step. Okay, so on this plate, select networking. On the networking, we're going to select the first network interface card, and we are going to add some inbound port rule. So let's just do that. From here under settings, the first one is the networking. Let me close this one, and here we need to add inbound port rule. Okay, so here's the inbound port rule that's automatically selected, and we are assigning this rule to this network interface card, not to the NSG. Okay, so just click on add inbound security rule, and you should get this window that should pop up. So let's see how they're asking us to do it. So really we are going to open the 3389 for the RDP connection. So destination port range, just copy this one. I'm going to close this one I don't need. Okay, source port range, destination port range, this is where I need to put 3389. And protocol any, it's really a TCP connection. You should really use TCP in that one, but any is fine. And name, let's call it allow RDP inbound. So let's come over here and let's see, where's my name. Here's my name. Allow RDP inbound. They didn't ask us to change the priority to anything, so I'm just going to use the default priority for this one. Okay, so action allow protocol any, destination is 3389. From any source port, we're going to allow the inbound connection. So just click add, and you should see over here a new rule should be added as soon as this creating new rule, this work is done. So right now we have 3 different default rules, and now here we go. So the rule for the inbound connection is now available. What it's telling you, our port 3389 is open, and any protocol is allowed, any source is allowed, and destination is any destination is allowed. So really it will be like 10004. We can also could have used that one to restrict even more. Alright, so this is now configured properly. On this, select overview and select connect, and what it's telling us now, it's telling us to connect to this machine. So let's go back that one. The easiest way, you can just go to connect over here. What they told you to go to the overview pane over here and then come to the connect. You can also come to the connect under the settings from here. There are multiple ways to do one job within Azure. So if you click that one, you can click on the RDP. What you need to do here, you can just download the RDP file. Since I'm using a Windows machine today, that's the easiest thing for me to do. So it's got downloaded. I can click on it and just say connect, and it's just gonna ask me for the password, but it's using a different username. I don't think that's gonna work, but let's see what it did. Within the remote desktop connection in the server, click on the local server. Okay, this didn't ask me for any username, so it's just trying to log in as my primary username. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna say use a different username, and I'm gonna provide this username that is actually available in that particular virtual machine. okay, and provide the correct password over here, and say OK. So this time it should be using this username and password, and I'm just gonna say yes, let's connect it, and there we go. So now we are connected. So that went pretty good. So now we have made it to up to this point, item number 7, and then within the remote desktop session to this VM, in the server manager window, click the local server and turn off the IE enhanced security. This is a standard thing that we have been doing for multiple labs, so that should be pretty simple to do. Let's see, under local server, come on. Okay, it's a little slow, so just give it a second to refresh. Okay, oh, is it connection lost or something for a second? Alright, so when you click on the local server, your IA enhanced security is right over here. If you're doing it for the first time, it probably is going to take you a little bit of time to figure out what that is, but it's right over here. You just click on it and just turn it off. Okay, I remember when I did this for the first time, it took me forever to figure out what that is. Okay, so that's done. So let's go back and see what next that we need to do. Within the remote desktop VM, start Internet Explorer, browse to Windows Server Evaluation, and download the Windows Server 2019 VHD file to VHD folder. Alright, so here they are saying you need to create it first, if VHDs folder. So let's copy this one. Let's see if the copy works across my RDP connection. So if come over here, and over here, let's come down over here. Let's see, do I have a F drive? Yes, I do. It's Hyper-V. So in this one, say new folder, and I'm gonna say VHDs. There we go. So now I have a VHDs folder. From within this machine, I gotta go and I gotta download some stuff, right? So let's first open the Internet Explorer. It's gonna ask you probably some recommended security setting and all that stuff. I'll just say don't use recommended settings. So I'll just say go. Okay, if you're a security aware person, don't do that. Maybe probably look at it. But this is a temporary machine for me, so I just want to go and download some stuff. Okay. So come back over here. So Windows Server Evaluations is where we need to go. So I'm just going to copy this link as well and come back over here. Let's see if this works. I think it did. So let's go to the Windows Server Evaluation, and once we are there, we're going to download a VHD file. Okay, we're going to download the Windows Server 2019 VHD file. That's our goal. So let's come over here. Here we are still inside the virtual machine. So VHD file, Windows Server 2019 VHD file. Let's double verify that we wanted 19 or 16. We want 2019, so the latest one. So that's good. So again, we are back to this VM, and then VHD is what we need. So hit continue, and here let's give it some name. Okay, and just need to select the country. There we go. So we have given some primary or basic information, and there we go. It's asking it's 8 gigs. It will probably take a little bit of time, although it's inside the Azure. So remember, you are not affected by your home internet. They'll probably have a huge capacity, and bandwidth is unbelievable. Most likely it will probably, you will see it's much faster than your own home network, right? So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to go to the F drive and the folder that I created, and I think that's where they wanted us to save. So now it says 1 minute and 24 seconds to download 8 gigs of file. Can you believe that? Alright, let it download, and while it's downloading, what I'm gonna do, come back over here. So here, download is to this folder, you need to create it, we did that. Within the remote desktop session to this particular VM, start Hyper-V Manager. In the Hyper-V Manager console, select AZ30308 VM node and select new, and in the cascading menu select virtual machine. So let's get that thing downloaded, and then we're gonna do this stuff. Just wait for a minute or so over here. Okay. Alright, I think we have a really little bit of time. It says 13 seconds. I think we can wait 13 more seconds and not pause the video. So almost done. There we go, 99%. And you know, it says last 1 second, but last 1 second is usually like 10 seconds. So as soon as this is downloaded, what we need to do is we're gonna start the Hyper-V Manager, and in the Hyper-V Manager we're gonna create a new virtual machine. Okay, and we are going to really specify the name, location, and use the VHD file to create a virtual machine. So let's see, let's go back, and it still says 99%. Okay, so let's give it a few more seconds and see if it's done. There we go. Now it says that it's now downloaded. Okay, so you can go to the view downloaded, and it's under your VHDs folder. Here's the file that you have. So that's pretty good. I'm happy with it. So close this one. I don't need the Internet Explorer anymore, so I can close my Internet Explorer. What I need to do next is the Hyper-V Manager. So let's open up Hyper-V Manager. Just type Hyper and click on this one. It should open up the Hyper-V Manager. Now if you have used some other client, it should be pretty similar to that. Like I typically use the VirtualBox a lot. So over here, what we're gonna do, create a new virtual machine in here. So let's go back to our instructions. So instructions over here is start the Hyper-V Manager. So we are down to this point. In that console, select that AZ30308A HVVM node. So let's go. Here is my node, so that is the virtual machine. Okay, and from this node, here is the new virtual machine. That's most likely what they are gonna ask us to do. So new virtual machine, that will start the new virtual machine wizard. So under this, again, new virtual machine, so we have clicked on that one. So now you see that we have the new virtual machine wizard, and we have that. So now what they are saying, on the before you begin page of the new virtual machine, select next. So before you begin, so you're not doing anything, you're selecting next. And then on the specify name and location page of the new virtual machine, specify the following and select next. So we're gonna name this as AZ30308AVM1, and location is FVMS. So name is this, and location is going to be FVMS. Now I don't think I have that folder either. Do I? Go to F. I do not. So what I can do, new folder, and FVMS is the folder. So let's come back. Okay, FVMS. So VMS is the folder that I need to create. So select that one. So select. So it's now FVMS is the folder that's selected. Make sure to create the folder. So that's what we just did. Okay, that's good. on the specified so at this time we can say next. Over here is the specified generation, so generation 1 or generation 2. Here we are using the generation 1 option with this deployment, which is fine. We're gonna select 1, that's by default, so I'm gonna hit next. Next, startup memory to 2048, so about 2 gigs of memory. Okay, so give that and then hit next. Okay, and on the configure networking page of the virtual machine wizard, in the connection drop down list, select nested switch and select NAS. Here, so if you click on this drop down, nested switch is what is available, select that one, hit next. So the next one would be on the connect virtual hard disk page of the new virtual machine wizard, select the option use an existing virtual hard disk. Okay, so here location create use an existing hard disk. So this is what we need to do because we have already downloaded the hard disk, right? So most likely they're gonna location of this VHD folder, and so we're just gonna go, and we already know where we downloaded. This is the folder, so say open. I guess select the folder and say open folder and say open. Okay, they're asking us to select the individual hard disk, so we got that one. Excuse me. Set the location and select next. Okay, so we got that one. Use existing hard disk, hit next. And the last one, on the summary page of the new virtual machine user, select finish. So that's all we need to do, so nothing else. So hit finish. So that should be creating your virtual machine, the first virtual machine, and it says the state is off, there is no CPU usage, nothing like that. So let's go back. So once that's done, we are down to 18, step 18. In the Hyper-V Manager console, select the newly created virtual machine and select start. Okay, so as I said, this is state is off, so let's click on it and you click start, so that would start the machine, and now it's running, and now it's the CPU usage that it's taking right now. Okay, in the Hyper-V Manager console, verify the virtual machine is running and then select connect. So here if you click on it and then you can select the connect, and it's going to connect you to that virtual machine. So you are going to a virtual machine inside this virtual machine that we connected to. Pretty interesting, right? Pretty convoluted. Alright, so in the virtual machine connect, so we have down to step 20, and then in the virtual machine connection window to AZ30A VM on the hi there page, select next. So it's just standard Windows, so it's going to give you the hi there page, which is going to select next. Okay, let's let it come up, and then license terms, we're going to accept it. And in the virtual machine connection window on the customize setting page, set the password, the built-in administrator account to this one, and then select finish. So let's give it a minute. Remember that you have only given this machine 2 gigs of memory, so it's expected that it's going to run a little slow. So take your time and do not be impatient. So and as a general rule, none of these labs you should be impatient because they're usually pretty long. Most of them, there might be a lab here and there where that you can get done in like 10-15 minutes, but a lot of labs it's 30 minutes to an hour or even sometimes longer. So just take your time and follow the steps very clearly, and if possible do it multiple times to completely understand the concept. Okay, so far it's going well. I still haven't got the hi there page, so as soon as it comes we can proceed to the next one. So let me pause this for just a second because it's taking a long time to come even the hi there page. Okay, I got the hi there page. So where is your home country, where is your preferred app language, what is the keyboard layout, so that looks good. Hit next now. Then this license terms, and we're going to accept it. and here the default administrator password, this is what they have asked us to do, and set it to this particular password. Okay, in that customize setting here's the password that we want to use. If I can paste it, it looks like I cannot. So PA55W, okay, PA55W dot rd, then 1234. So let's look at it. PA55W dot rd 1234, that looks good. So PA55W then dot rd 1234. I think that's good. PA55WRD. Okay, so they all look good, so I can hit finish. So let's come back over here. So we are down to this point in the virtual machine connection window. Sign in by using the new set password. In the virtual machine connection window, start Windows PowerShell, and in the administrator Windows PowerShell, we're gonna run a following command. We're gonna restart, and we're gonna rename this machine. We're gonna give the machine a new name, looks like, and then say restart. Okay, so here Control Alt Del. Let's see. Oh, that's gonna be my primary computer. Control Del. How do I log into this one now? Okay, Control Alt Del. No. Okay, I need to figure this one out, so give me just 1 second. Alright, I tried bunch of Control Alt Del. Usually the right Control Del works, but this time it didn't work. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna come to the virtual machine, go to the action button, and here's a Control Alt Del. I'm gonna try to click on this one. Hope this works, and it looks like it is working. Thank God. So now I can do PA55. Then what? PA55 I forget things so quickly. Look at that. PA55W.RD 55W.RD 1234. Most likely that's correct. Yeah, that is correct. So we are now logging into that particular machine. Once we are logged in, we need to go to the PowerShell and run some kind of command, right? So let's go back, make sure, yeah, we are in that virtual machine. We gotta go to the Windows PowerShell. In the administrator Windows PowerShell window, run the following to set the computer name. So let's come back over here. As soon again, it's a little slow machine, should be patient again with this particular machine. It may take a little bit of time to open up. Okay, so over here I can type for PowerShell, and when it shows up, I'm just gonna open. Oh, it's gone. Let me try it again. PowerShell, and I'm gonna right click on it, run as administrator, and it should give me the PowerShell window over here. And here it's asking us to rename this computer or give the computer a name. That's what we're really trying to do. And the first thing what I'm gonna do before I run the command that they're recommending, I'm just gonna run the host name command as soon as this comes up, and then we'll go from there. Now imagine a computer which has got only 2 gigs of RAM and you're working with, this is how it feels like. Okay, so if you're buying a new computer, don't buy only 2 gigs of RAM on it for sure, especially not for a server. Never ever. Okay, for lab, okay, it's good, but for real life, do not do that. Alright, so just give it a minute. Man, I have not, oh, did you got it? No, we have not got it. So it's still loading my PowerShell. I still, yeah, now I have it, man. So just type hostname first, and I just want to see. So it's got a weird hostname right now, right? So the command that we're gonna run Okay, rename computer. It is going to rename this computer and and give it a right name so that we know what's going on, and then it's going to restart this computer to make sure that that name is in effect. So let's see. No, that didn't work. So we just have to type out the name, rename computer, rename dash I pressed tab. I'm just waiting if it's working. Yeah, it did. Rename computer, and then dash new tab, new name. Yeah, tab is working. New name, we want to call it AZ30308A, AZ30308A, and then dash VM1, okay, and then we just want to restart, res and then tab, restart. I think we got it. Now hit that command and now it should restart the computer for you. Okay, so while this is going on, we can come back over here. So what we had done so far, and it's been so long, like how much we're working for 40 minutes already, and we have only just getting done with the environment that you need to transfer everything back to Azure. So this deployment really represent your on-prem deployment. Okay, so again, if you go to Paint, okay, let me open it up. I'm really not good of a painter. So usually, okay, so your on-prem environment, you have right now we are simulating using Hyper-V, and within the Hyper-V we have created a one VM, okay, and you could be using something else, ESXi, VMware ESXi. That is another very popular hypervisor that you can use to manage your virtual machines. Now we are using this one, but this whole thing, instead of using on-prem, we deployed the whole thing within the cloud, within Azure. So what we need to do, we now need to integrate or use the Azure Migrate to figure out what would be the requirement to move this on-prem environment or simulated on-prem environment back to Azure cloud. Okay, so that's our goal. So here we're most likely going to install some client Azure Migrate and create a project for the Azure Migrate, do our assessment and go from there. So let's come back over here and let's see our next step. Next step is to prepare for assessment and migration by using Azure Migrate. So what I'm thinking, since this is already 40 minutes, should I break this into multiple sections or not? I think I'm gonna keep it in one video, so let's just keep going. Okay, sometimes I think it's useful, some other times it's not that useful. So let's get started with exercise 1. So this one, prepare the assessment and migration by using the Azure Migrate. So this is, again, Azure Migrate is something you should spend more time to learn about it, what it can do for you, just more than this lab. And this is heavily tested in Azure 303 and 304 exams, so take your time. Okay, in this one we have 3 main tasks: configure the Hyper-V environment, create an Azure Migrate project, and then implement the target Azure environment. So 3 tasks. So the first task is configure the Hyper-V environment. So within the remote desktop session to this VM, start Internet Explorer, go to Microsoft Download Center and download the configuration PowerShell script into the download folder. Now, so we not sure what exactly I need to download. What is that? Okay, so this is downloading some Microsoft Azure migration script. So what I want to do, I want to copy the whole URL from here, okay, and I'm going to get into this machine, and this machine, I don't need that one right now. Okay, let me make sure which machine are we talking about. We are talking about the hypervisor machine, not the VM running inside this hypervisor. So go back to this one. We need to open up the Internet Explorer one more time. Okay, so I can paste that right here. Go to our lab instructions from here in this machine, go down, and we were working on the first task. So here they're saying within remote desktop session, go to this. So let's click on that one and open a new tab. So as we saw in the last one, it should have started downloading my file. Did it? Yeah, it says let's see if it's asking us to save in some particular place. So let's come back over here. Into the downloads folder. So it's just saying just put in download folder. So save as, I'm just gonna keep it in our downloads folder and just say save. Okay, so this script performs the following tasks. So this script that we just downloaded, it checks that you're running the script on a supported PowerShell version, verifies that you have the administrative privilege on the Hyper-V host, allows you to create a local user account that the Azure Migrate service uses to communicate with the Hyper-V host. This user account is added to remote management users, Hyper-V administrators, and performance monitor users groups on the Hyper-V host. The more things, check that the host is running and supported version of Hyper-V and Hyper-V role. Enable the WinRM service and opens up port 5985 for the HTTP and 5986 for HTTPS on the host, and this is a requirement for the metadata collection, so this is important, remember that one. Also enables the PowerShell remoting on the host, checks that the Hyper-V integration service is enabled on the VMs managing by the host, and finally enables crete SSP on the host if needed. So this is an important script, and what we would like to do, I am a little intrigued, so I'm just gonna open the folder and open with something. Let's say open with just even Notepad is fine. Just open it. I just want to take a look at it. So how long that script? It's script, yeah, it's not terribly long, but there are a whole bunch of things in there. So I'm not going to read the whole script here. I'm just going to trust the Microsoft and make sure that it's doing. But it looks like there are a whole bunch of functions. So you can at least review the name of the function. Function validate PS version. Function validate OS version. So that's pretty good. Validate hypervisor role. So you can at least look at the function, and if you have time, spend some time to look at the code and see what the code is doing. Again, for those exams, you don't have to be a PowerShell master, but you should be able to understand what it's doing and should be able to read and be able to understand what it's trying to do. Alright, so let's come back over here. So we know what the script is going to do. Within the remote desktop, start Windows PowerShell ISC, and in the administrator Windows PowerShell window, in the console pane, run the following to remote the zone.identifier alternate data stream to remove, okay, which in this case indicates that the file was downloaded from internet. So here we are going to unblock the file. So let's just do that. So let's come back over here to our where am I? We are over here, sorry. So here we are really inside this machine already. So come back over, not Cortana, I don't want Cortana, we want PowerShell again. No, this is am I in the right spot? Okay, now now I'm in the right spot. So PowerShell ISC, okay, so I'm going to run it as an administrator, and once I'm running as an administrator, I'm going to go back, I'm going to get that command unblock file and path C user student download. That's where we have downloaded this file, so that is excellent. So where am I? So here I am. So you can go back over here, then paste that command, and I think its command is already running. Gee, it didn't say anything, so I'm hoping that its command went okay. So I'm gonna run it more. Yeah, so it didn't do anything. So I haven't got any error message, so it should be good. So let's come back over here, and in the administrator window, resetting downloads folder, run it in, open this file residing in, and then run it. The prompted for confirmation, press Y. Okay, so now what they're saying, file open. Now once we have unblocked that file, open it. Once you have opened it, this file, I can click on this one to run it. Okay, so now it's running. Okay, you see whole bunch of okay thing is going on. So let's see what it's telling. When prompted and for confirmation, you press Y key to followed by the enter key, with exception of the following prompts, in which case type in followed by enter key. So do you use SMB share? So for this one I'm going to do no. Do you want to create non-administrator local user for Azure Migrate and Azure Hyper-V host communication? We're going to say no. So let's come back over here. So this is, I'm going to say yes. Next, partial remoting is a mandatory, so this is, I'm gonna say yes. Okay, gotta remember which two. SMB we can, and non-local we can. As you migrate, enable inbound WinRM, I'm gonna say yes. Okay, the next SMB user, this one Microsoft says do not use it, so I'm gonna say no, and make sure VHD is, yeah, that's the one. And non-administrative local account, Hyper-V communication, that one also they said do not say yes, so I'm gonna say no. And there we go, our script is now successfully executed. So now the next thing that we are going to do is create an Azure Migrate project. So within this VM, start Internet Explorer, go to the Azure portal. So from this VM only, I'm gonna go to Azure portal. Okay, so let's just do that, portal.azure.com. so what is it going, continue to portal, and let's see what it's doing once we are there in the portal. Sign in by providing credentials, we can do that, and make sure the user account at least has got a owner role, and we are going to look for the Azure Migrate, and we're going to create a project. Okay, so that all seems nice. So AZ labs 2024 at outlook.com, that's my account. I think I may have got extra character. Okay, let's see if we can log in. Okay, let's sign in. Would you like to share? Why not just have it? Yes, stay signed in. Okay, so now I'm logging into my Azure environment where we already created our resource group, and this is where we have this lab and all these virtual machines. They're all running in here, right? So here what we want to do, we're gonna look for the migrate. So if you do just search for migrate, the Azure Migrate will show up. Just click on it. Okay, so that should give you the Microsoft Azure Migrate, like the home page, and here we're gonna do some stuff. So let's see, what do we need to do here. So in the migration goal section, select create project. So on the migration goals section, we need to create a project. So this is where I feel like this interface may have changed just a little. So let me pause the video a second and let's take a quick look at it, and then we'll restart it. Okay, so where do I go? I go over here, and give me a second. Alright, I'm back, and I think what I suspected is true. So under migration goals, you do not see any icon that says create project, right? So if you go over here, the instruction clearly is saying in the Azure portal, search for and select Azure Migrate on the Azure Migrate blade. in the migration goals section, so Azure Migrate Blade, this is the Azure migration goals section, we can get to that point. Then says create a project, so this is not available. So where are you going to provide this information? On the Azure Migrate Blade, specify the following setting and select create. So this is not gonna happen, so we need to improvise ourselves. So let's come back over here, see what we have. So here I have Windows, Linux server, SQL and other databases, and explore more settings. So if you think about it, we have installed a virtual machine, so access and migrate servers is probably the most and best icon that you should be clicking. So I'm just gonna do that. So if I click on it now, look at that, I have the new button says create project. Okay, so let's click on that one. Oh my god, it looks about the same. Now the instruction I can follow. So over here, resource group, the name of a new resource group, this is what you're going to create, AZ30308B. so let's create a new resource group in here and paste that one. And then they're saying for the migrate project, this is the name that we're going to assign to this new project. So let's put the name of it, and the geography should be United States, should be fine. And implement the target Azure environment, and then I just need to create, click on create. There we go. So now it's creating a project for me. So again, so when you're doing these labs, the Azure is changing very fast, and some of the interfaces will change very quickly. So you always have to kind of look out and see where and how it's changing and what you can do to adapt and be able to use the new UI. Okay, so now this is my project is now ready. Okay, so let's see what is the next thing they're asking us to do, and if that has changed as well. So over here, the next task, so we are done with this, we have a project. Implement the target Azure environment. Okay, so this one in the Azure portal, search and then select virtual networks. On the virtual network blade and select add. So they're now saying, okay, let's create a new virtual network. So let's just do that. So come over here. These steps should be easy. You know what, I'm just gonna keep this. Well, now I can move away from here. Look for virtual networks, click on virtual networks, and once we have this one, we can do. Alright, so what we want to do over here, they're asking us to create a new virtual network, and we'll configure it this way. So let's just do that. Click on add, and again we should be getting a new window. So this is what we got. Let's see if they're asking us to create a new resource group. So resource group, name of the new resource, yes they are. So that's the AZ30308C is the new resource group name. So create that resource group and hit OK. So there is my resource group, and name of this virtual network is gonna be the migration VNet. So let's copy that one and put it over here. So we got it, it's in the East US. What location are this? The name of the Azure region into which you deployed the virtual machine earlier. So that's East US, that's good. On the IP address tab of the create virtual network, we are going to use a particular IP address space, and then we're going to create a subnet as well. So let's come over here, let's go down to the IP address space. Let's see, get rid of that one and just put the one that's suggested here, 10.8.0.0.16. and now you have to create a subnet. Just click on this one, you get another little box over here. Let's get what we need there. Where am I? You want to be inside this window, go up, come over here to that one. The subnet name is subnet 0. Oh, not there, here subnet name is subnet 0, and we're using a /24 address space for that one. So that will give us about 251 addresses, right? 251, 5 reserved for Azure. And I need to say add, so that is going to add a subnet over here. Let's see if there's anything else that we need to do. Back on the IP addresses, select review plus create. So at this time we're good, we don't need to do anything more anymore. No security or nothing like that. Just hit review and create, and if the validation is successful, we're gonna hit create, right? So that's gonna create a virtual network that we're gonna use for our migration purposes. So that network is created. So in the Azure portal, search and select virtual network. Oh, this looks like they're adding another virtual network. Is it right? So that's the migration network that we just created, right? Task 3, virtual network, add. So this is what we have just completed, and on the basic, yeah, so we're gonna add another virtual network, it looks like. So let's see what's going on in this one. If the deployment is done, yeah, the deployment is done for this one. So if I go to the resource, I have the AZ303 migration VNet is already available. It's deployed under AZ30308C, so that is all good. Okay, AZ30308C, AZ30308C migration VNet, so that's all done. So here is a test VNet. That's another VNet that we are going to deploy under the same resource group, it looks like. So over here, do the same thing as we did, search for a virtual network, and do again another add and fill out. So this time we're going to select the existing resource group, not that one. We're going to use that one, and that one should already be available to us. 30308C, 30308C, this one, right? 30308C. Now name of the virtual network is gonna be the test VNet, so copy that one and put it over here. And the next thing that you want to do on the IP address, again, this is probably the similar IP address range that we have used before. We want to maintain the similar IP address in our test environment as well, so let's put it there. Then add a it says invalid argument. I have a space. Let's see, do I have a space? Yeah, I have a space. Sometimes when you have space, it looks like it's true, it's a real number, but you get the warning. So get rid of the space, and here's the IP address name, and I bet the range is again going to be 24. And let's get the name of it. It's the same name, subnet 0. It's configured the similar way as the other subnet that we have already configured. So this one, so review, create, and create. Okay, so that's good. So let's see. So here you need to add what is subnet is not contained. It says it not contained. Why is it not contained? Oh, let's see, let's say add. Okay, it's not letting me add, so let me make sure that I'm doing it right. So let's come back over here again. 10.8.00.16, 10.8.00.24. I don't see any problem. So 10.8.00.16, we got that one, and the next one is 10.8.00.24. It should be able to give me 24 is not contained the virtual network address space. What are you talking about, buddy? I have 10.8.00.16 here. Okay, let's do that again. 10.8.0.0-16. That is the most weird thing I have ever seen, because this range is contained with the address space. Alright, let's close this Okay, let's do it one more time. Let's click on add subnet, and let's say subnet 0, and let's come over here, paste it, and then say 24. Now now it's not complaining. My god, I don't know why Azure was going crazy a little bit ago. So now I have this subnet added over here, so only thing I need to do is now again create review and create, and if the validation is successful I just need to create. So now we are creating the environment that we need for our migration project. So we have created one resource group, and then we created two virtual network in them, one production network, another is a test network. So the next thing what you need, so this one is now done, right? So this is now done. So we are down to step 12 in this section. Next we want a storage account. So again, we're gonna search for storage account, and then we are going to say add. Okay, so let's go to storage accounts, and when this show up, just select the storage account from here. And to create a new storage account, you only need to hit the add button. So we are now adding a storage account over here. Alright, so we are now configuring our storage account. So let's see for the storage account how they want us to configure. So same, we're going to put it, the storage account, we're going to create this under the same resource group, and we just need any globally unique storage account name. I'm going to deploy to the East US standard, and we're going to use the general purpose v2, which is recommended mostly by Microsoft, and we're going to use locally redundant storage, and that's about it. So that shouldn't be too difficult at all. So let's come over here. Where are you? Go to the what happened to my portal that I was working on here. So here we're gonna go and select this resource group, and this is the storage account that we're working on, a storage account name. So let's say try migrate test 100. What about that? So you see the green tick mark, that means this name is available. I'm going to keep the East US standard storage account kind storage v2, and here I'm going to change it to LRS to meet the lab specification. Okay, and then at this time I think I can create this account. So let's check it out. For the storage account, where were we? We were down over here, somewhere here. So yeah, so we don't need to configure anything else. We just need to hit the create button to create the storage account. Hit this. So come back over here. So I don't need to configure networking or anything. I just gonna hit review and create, and if the validation is successful, I'm just gonna hit create. Storage account creation takes less than a minute usually, so you will see like in less than a minute you have this account available to you. So let's see what next we are gonna do. So we are doing pretty good. So next is the next phase, where we are gonna access the Hyper-V for migration by using Azure Migrate. So in this, so let's review what we have done. In this one, configure the Hyper-V environment, we have done that. Then we have created Azure Migrate project. After creating the Migrate project, we have implemented the target environment. For this one, we created a resource group. We created two different virtual network. One we call the migration network, another we call the test virtual network. We also created two subnets within those virtual networks, and at the end we created a storage account and we put it in that same resource group in the same location. Okay, next thing we are getting ready to do is this, which is the access Hyper-V for migration by Azure Migrate. So in this one, the two tasks, deploy and configure the Azure Migrate appliance that you need that's gonna look at your environment and see what kind of VM is running, what is the configuration, stuff like that. Configure, run, and view the assessment. Okay, so let's come over here, verify our storage account deployment is done. So it looks like it's done, so we are ready for the next one. So come back over here. So let's start with the task 1, which is excuse me, deploy and configure the Azure Migrate pipeline. So within the remote desktop session, to AZ hypervisor VM, in the Internet Explorer window in the Azure portal, on the Azure Migrate server blade, select Discover in the Azure Migrate server assessment tile. So come back over here, and again what you need to do, you need to go to Azure Migrate. So just come over here, type Azure Migrate, and let's go to the Migrate, and let me make this window a little bit bigger. So when I'm here, so it's saying Azure Migrate server blade, select Discover. So Azure Migrate server blade, let's see if I have a Discover button in here. So here is my Discover. Okay, so that's what they're asked. So again, I think this has changed just a little. So you can now click on this Discover, okay, button, and to do the next thing. So let's go back. As you mark it on the Discover machine blade, in the are your machines virtualized drop down list, select yes and select Hyper-V. So let's come back over here. Let's click, and this is under the assessment tool, and here are your machines virtualized, and here is a drop down yes with Hyper-V. That's what we have used, so that's what we have selected. Now let's see what else we need to do in the Azure Migrate server assessment tile. So this is where I am. Okay, Azure Migrate server assessment tile. The next, on the Discover machines blade, in the are your machine virtualized, select yes. So that's we have done already. The third step, on the Discover machines blade, in the name your appliance text box, this is the appliance name we're gonna use, and then select the generate key button. So let's go back here, name your appliance. So this is gonna be the name of the appliance that we're gonna create, and then we're gonna click the generate key button. Okay, so here is the first thing that I noticed that giving me a little bit of concern. It says logged in user does not have enough permission to deploy artifacts. You should have at least contributor permission to deploy artifact. So let's go back and see. Note, if you encounter permission related error while generating this key, navigate to the subscription blade, select your subscription. On the subscription blade, select IAM, then assign the owner role to your Azure AD account. So this is something that I need to do. So I need the owner account, owner role to your Azure AD account. I'm a global administrator, so this looks a little weird. So let's still do that. If you encounter a problem, navigate to the subscription blade, select your subscription. On the subscription, so they're asking us to give this. So let's come back over here. I'm just gonna open a new blade, okay, new tab, and then what I'll do, I will search for the subscriptions. So once you go to the subscription, that's the root level. So here I'm going to select the subscription, and you should have a blade for the access control. So go to the access control, and here add a role. So I'm going to select add, and then add a role assignment. Role is the owner role that we want, so it's a owner, and assign to service principals. So here is, I think this is the only thing that I have no other user, so that's me, right? So we have that. So then select save, and I should get the role at this time. Okay, so let's come back over here, and should I refresh the page? So let's see what they're saying. Okay, wait for the response resource provision to complete with the remote desktop session to VM. Start notepad and copy the Azure Migrate project key into the notepad. So let's click on generate key one more time. Okay, this time you see the error is now gone. So it's now checking the prerequisite and creating the required Azure resources. Okay, so here something is going on, and you should see the key in a minute. So let it happen. And again, be patient, these labs are long, and so pay very attention, be very carefully, follow all the instructions step by step. And that's why I suggest that, you know, to be really comfortable, you do this lab multiple times if you have time. So here the deployment is now successful, and here is your key. So you copy the key. Do you want to allow the web page access your clipboard? Allow access. And here I'm gonna open up a notepad, okay, and I'm gonna paste the key, and let's see what else that this saying. If they're saving in a particular name, it didn't say anything, so just to be sure, I'm just gonna save it, just make sure that it's available. I'm just gonna key and then save it. Okay, on the discover machine blade, in the name your appliance text box, select the VHT file option, select download, and then when prompted, select the download location to FVM's folder. So come back over here, download the Azure Migrate appliance. This is the one that they're talking about. Okay, again, let's read it one more time. In the discover machine blade, name your appliance text box dot VHT option, select download. And so this is a little bit actually has changed as well. So but they're talking about this. So now you have the name of the appliance, you have the key. Now you have to download that Azure Migrate appliance, okay, and you have selected the .vhd file, so that's good. So now you have to click on the download link, and you are going to save it to VMs. That's what they are saying. Okay, and then hit save. So now it has started the download process, and while it's downloading, let's go back and see a VMs folder. Wait for the download to complete. This may take about 5 minutes, so we may pause the video again. Let's see how much we have next. So once the download completes, extract the content of the downloaded zip file. We can do that. Within the remote desktop, switch to hypervisor console, select that VM node, select import virtual machine, and this will start the import virtual machine wizard. So this time we are going to import this appliance that we're downloading, and we're going to add it to the virtual Hyper-V environment. Okay, sounds good. So let's see if our download is going on well. So this is going on just fine. So I'm going to pause the video for a second, and again we'll come back and continue in a minute. Alright everyone, I think this thing got downloaded, so let's come back and take a look into that. Minimize. Okay, yeah, so come back over here. Yeah, that download has been completed. So the next thing, we can proceed to the next step, and the next step would be, let me maximize again. So the next step would be in this folder, select no, we gotta unzip the folder, right? Extract the content of the folder. So let's just go to downloads. No, here, that where we have downloaded VHDs. Where is it? It's not here. So where is it? So let's see, open folder. Oh, so we put it under VMs. Is that where it wanted us to put? Let's verify. So it wanted us to, yeah, download it here, so that's good. So we're at the right spot. So here we need to extract. I'm just going to do extract all and extract. Excuse me. So that's extracting my VHD file that's been zipped, and we downloaded in that condition. Let's come back over here. So that's what we are doing right now. We are on the step 6. Then the next thing we will have to do, we'll go back to the hypervisor machine and go inside the hypervisor, and we are going to start an import virtual machine job. So while this is happening, we can really go here and right click on it, and this is the one. So first we created a virtual machine to begin with at the very beginning, okay, and this time we're going to use the import virtual machine, and we're going to import the appliance that we have downloaded. So let's just give it a few seconds, and as soon as this is done, we are going to proceed. So I'm going to pause the video again for a second. Where is it? Here. So I'm going to pause this. Alright everyone, the file that we downloaded, it took 5 minutes to download, but to extract it, it probably took 20 minutes or so. So keep that in mind if you're doing this lab. Okay, so now we have it extracted. We can go to the virtual manager, Hyper-V manager, and this time we're going to import a virtual machine. Okay, so let's come back, go to this machine. Let's go back over again, expand it. So I have the whole window. So go back to this and then right click on it, do import a virtual machine. So we are working with this wizard right now, this interface. So here what you need to do, while we import virtual machine, before you begin page, we're just selecting next. So there is nothing to select really, so hit next, and then it's asking you to choose a folder. So just look at the folder. So here, and then we went to F under VMs. This is the Migrate appliance. So this is where, wow, I have so many. So let's see if I can just select this folder itself. How can I go up here? So let's choose this folder and select the folder, and specify the extracted location of the extracted files and select next. On the select virtual machine page of the import virtual machine, select next. So this is what it needed. So next, select virtual machine page. So this is automatically selected, so I'm just gonna hit next. In the next one, select choose import type page from the import virtual machine wizard. Select copy the virtual machine, create a new unique ID, and select next. So copy the virtual machine and create a new unique ID. So just to remember to follow the instruction closely, hit next. On the choose folder for virtual machines page of the import virtual machine wizard, select the checkbox store the virtual machine in a different location, and then use FVM folder, store the virtual machine in a different location. Then select the location to the FVM and select next. So everywhere we need to choose the FVM. This is the folder that we need to choose. So again, FVM is the folder we need to choose, and over here as well, F and VMs is the folder that we need to choose. Come back over here. So that's good. So now I can hit next. On the choose folders for virtual machine disk page, import set location to the FVHD folder and hit next. So here what we need to do, we need to go to the other place of VHDs and then select folder and hit next. Okay, so now it's preparing the virtual machine hard disk, and looks like I have a problem here. It is not possible to assign 8 virtual processors to a virtual machine on this host. So let's see what what can we do on the configuration processor? Set the number of virtual processor to 4. Look at that. So this one, 8 virtual processor we cannot assign, so let's change it to 4. Okay, and hit next. Okay, so then hit next. So that one should work, and this one could not find Ethernet switch, something like that. So here we already know that we have to choose the nested switch. So go click down and use a nested switch and hit next. So that looks good. The summary on the summary page of the just hit finish. So finish. So now you wish that everything went well, because so far we have already done almost 2 hours of video right now. It's a lot of work, right? So let's see, wait for the download to complete. It may take about 10 more minutes. Oh my god. So I have to stop the video again and wait for about 10 more minutes, then we'll come back and we are going to continue. So the next thing looks like we're going to do the similar kind of thing. We're going to rename this machine and we're going to rename to this. Then we're going to start the machine, we're going to connect to this, do this license thing again. Customize thing, we're going to do the password the similar to way that we have done it for the first virtual machine. And again we're going to rename this to this particular, we're going to restart, and once it's restarted we're going to get the IP address. So next few steps seems pretty straightforward, so let's just give it some time. Though this one is going to take 10 minutes, I'm going to pause the video again. Alright everyone, I think this is now done. It took more than 10 minutes to get it completely copied, so again be more patient. So over here let's see what's going on with this one. Let's expand this one more time, go to our hypervisor. So if you look at it, this name is a real big one. It says Azure Virtual Appliance and some this and that. So first thing is we're going to rename this one and we're going to call it AZ30308A VM 1. Okay, so again rename and rename to this. Okay, the machine state is off. Okay, so we want to start the machine and then we're gonna connect to the machine. So let's start this one. Okay, it's now starting. Just give it a minute, and when now it's running, and now I can connect to the machine. So hit connect, so it should open up again this hi and everything. So let's see what else do we need to do. Where are we? Here, connect. We are down to step 19. Here again we have to accept the license and provide the password for the admin user. Okay, so let's copy this one over here, let it come. Again, be patient with this lab. I think this is probably the longest lab that I'm doing in these Azure labs that are available on the GitHub. I don't recall any other lab where I have gone past more than 2 hours and I'm still not done. So just again be patient, okay, with these labs. I'm actually going to pause this again and not waste your time, and as soon as the screen comes back we'll start. Alright everyone, we are at the license terms page. So let's this make it big again, come back down and accept it and put the password. I thought I copied. I don't know if it's gonna allow me to do this. Let me try one more time. If it doesn't work, we'll just type it out. Okay, copy, and no, it's not working. So PA55 that much I can remember. pa55w.rd w.rd 1234 and pa55w.rd 1234. Okay, so now hit finish. So it's now initial. Now here again we know that we gotta go to action and do the Control Alt Delete and then log in with pa55w.rd1234. and what we're going to do inside the machine, we're going to open up the PowerShell window again and rename this machine and make sure our host name is proper. So again we're going to run the same command. Okay, so come over here, hold on, look for yeah, I'm at the right machine. So PowerShell, and I'm going to run it as an administrator. Okay, and as soon as it shows up, it is there. I'm gonna check the host name real quick. Yeah, I have a weird host name, or the host name that automatically got. So rename computer is the command. So rename rename dash computer. I'm trying to use my tab and then dash name. Okay, name computer. A new name is the command. So new name, the tab complete, that worked. We're gonna call it AZ30308A VMA1. So AZ30308A VMA1, and I need a space right here, and A for appliance, by the way. And then let's see, what else do we need? And we need to restart the machine as well. So dash restart and hit enter. So that is going to rename the computer, and it's going to restart my machine. So my host name is properly applied. So we are done up to this point. It's going pretty well. Now within the remote desktop session of the virtual appliance, start Windows PowerShell and run the following command to identify the IP address. Okay, so let's get it restarted, and once it's done, we're going to continue again. Alright everyone, this machine got restarted and it's running now just fine. So what we want to do, we want to continue with the lab. Let's minimize this again, and I want to maximize this one. So what we want to do, we want to log in to this virtual machine, but we want to make sure that we are logged in to the right. So this is the VMA1, so this is the one we're going to log in again. So go back to action, Control Alt Delete, pa55rw. I'm really too bad about remembering this password thing. So let's go back over here and maximize. What is the pa55w.rd? So pa55w.rd 1234. So now we are logging in back to this machine. So what we want to do here in this one, we want to open up the PowerShell window one more time. Run as administrator. Once it opens up, why is this here? The first thing I'm going to do is hostname. So now you can see that this one is properly renamed my virtual machine properly, so I'm happy about it. So let's go over here. The next thing we need to do, we need to get the IP address of this machine. So let's copy this one, come back over here. It's not letting me paste, so let's just read the command. It's get net IP address dot IP address. All right, so get that net IP address and then dot IP address is what I need. Yeah, I got it. I used the tab completion. So we're gonna run this one. So hit enter. So the IP address that I got is 10.0.2.3. So I'm gonna put it in another 10.0.2.3 in another. I just really want to put it in another. Let's see if I can open another notepad and keeping that one. Yes, so 10.0.2.3. make sure that's the right one. 10.0.2.3. yeah, I got it. Okay, with the remote desktop session to the virtual appliance in the Windows PowerShell console, run the following to add the entry representing the Hyper-V host to the local host file. Okay, so you need this for the name resolution. Okay, I'm gonna try to copy it again and see if it works. Edit paste, maybe. No, the paste is just not there. So let's just try to type it again. Add dash content. So here, add dash content. What do I need to add? We need to add a path. So dash path, then C Windows. So dash path, and we are adding C Windows Systems 32. C. Why my tab completion is not taking? Make sure I'm doing it right. C. Oh, I did this wrong. C. Now my top completion, should it work? Yeah, it did. C Windows System, is it System 32? Yeah, System 32. So let's get that one. System 32. Then drivers etc hosts. Drivers etc hosts. Okay, I have used tab completion as much as possible. Then dash value, and then 10.0.2.1. Then here host dash value. So we are really adding the mapping for the hypervisor VM, right? 10.0.2.1 value 10.0.2.1. then this one is mapping to AZ30308A, AZ30308A dash HV dash VM dash HV dash VM, and then we are doing dash force. Okay, now hit enter. So that command is not successful. So again, why did we do that? Because this will allow the name resolution between the virtual appliance and the Hyper-V host. Within the remote desktop session, download Microsoft Edge installed and run installation with default setting. This is interesting. So here Microsoft Edge is what I need to download, but why? I already have my Internet Explorer. Why are they asking me to download Microsoft Edge again? So not sure. So let's go back over here, go to our instructions within the remote desktop session. In the Microsoft Edge window, I think they're just making some promotional effort here. Alright, navigate to this IP address the IP address and 44368 with the IP address placeholder represent the IP address you identified in the previous step. Ignore the warning about the website security certificate. So basically they're telling there should be something running on the port 44368. So let's get to work. So I'm not going to download Edge, sorry, if you can, but over here what I'm going to do, I'm still inside this virtual machine, so I'm going to go to that IP address, and I will go to that port though, 44368. So 44368, and if everything is good I should be seeing something. Alright, it says I have something is running, but I got an error. So let's see if that's the expected. It says with the remote desktop session to Azure VM in the Microsoft Edge window, navigate to this 44368 again, make sure 44368. That's not good. Okay, so here they are expecting placeholder when prompted sign into the, so this is my problem. Okay, so this is HTTPS, so let's try it with HTTPS. Maybe they are not opening the HTTP port, but everything is on HTTPS. Let's hope for that. So now it's saying waiting for a service. This page cannot be displayed. Okay, the other thing, I think I made it wrong. It's a port, so I gotta do this. There we go. Now it's saying problem with the website security certificate. So again, you don't mess up. Hopefully you are better at paying attention than I am. So port, you cannot put a backslash, right? So here, continue to this website, not recommended, but that's what we are gonna do because we know what it is. So now it's asking us to put the username and password. So I need the username and password, but I cannot go back to this tab anymore. So let's just get out of this and go to this one from here, and we're really somewhere over here. So we done all of that work. Okay, we have done all of that work. Okay, it's same, it's administrator and PASSWRD. Okay, so that's good. So add administrator and again PA55RWD 1234. No, man, how can I PA55W dot RD 1234. I think I typed the password properly this time. So I think it's now logging in to the web console. Okay, so I can go back to over here now. So we have provided this too, and with Microsoft Edge window, again I'm not using Edge, I skipped that step. On the appliance configuration manager page, select I agree button, wait for the prerequisite to be successfully verified and continue. So once over here, this Internet Explorer, this is loading. The latest appliance configuration manager is not supported on Internet Explorer 11 or lower. So unfortunately that is something I gotta download. So just go ahead and just say download Edge and download it. Looks like you have no other option, Microsoft. Okay, so let's just get that one, accept and download, and run, and let it run. And once it's installed, we'll go to the same place. We're just going to use Edge because the application they have built, it's not supported by IE. So just give it a second, and again be patient. This is a really long lab. I probably spent all day today just doing this, although the video is probably shorter because I have been pausing. And yeah, so you probably spend good amount, 3-4 hours probably just doing this video or this lab if you're doing it by yourself. and when you're doing it by yourself. Okay, so let's get it done. It's just gonna give you the welcome screen and your configuration. I'm just gonna wait. World-class performance, look at that. More privacy, get started, and inspirational is good. Close this one. So what I want to do, I want to get where was I? So here, this is, I'm gonna get rid of this, and come back to this one and paste the link over here, and advanced, continue. Now again I have to provide administrator, and then pa55w.rd1234. I hope I typed the password properly the first time. Good. So now I'm in. So here I gotta agree. If you don't agree, you can't do anything, right? So just click. So what you have here, this is the appliance configuration manager, and this is the Azure Migrate. Okay, this is the virtual appliance that we have downloaded after we created the Azure Migrate project for us. We downloaded this VHD file. We now ported the VHD file in our Hyper-V environment, and now really we are going to the web interface where we have this application configuration manager, and we'll just setting up the prerequisites, and then we'll just gonna do a few things over here. Okay, here's the project key. Probably we have that one that we created. We're gonna put it over here and go from there. So let's go back while it's running the prerequisite check and go over here. And so we are done up to the step 29. Within the Microsoft Edge window, on the application configuration manager page, in the register with Azure Migrate section, in the provide Azure Migrate project key text box, paste the key you copied into Notepad earlier in this exercise. Okay, so that's what we expected. So let's copy the key and come back over here. In here I'm gonna paste the key, and once all of that done, I'm gonna click on login, because this is not done yet. I'm just gonna wait for a little longer. Select login, accept the default code displayed in the enter code pane in the browser path. Sign in by providing credential of a user account with the owner role in the subscription you're using in the lab, and close the browser page. So alright, we're getting there. So let's come back over here. So this check is going on. So what I'll do, I'm again gonna pause the video just a minute. As soon as this check is done, we'll resume, and we'll try to log in and register this Azure Migrate with our Azure portal. Okay, so let me pause it for a second once again. Alright everybody, it took almost forever to get this thing done, but I waited patiently. So here under the setup prerequisites, now I have 3 green marks. Under check connectivity to Azure, it says yeah, it looks good. Check time is in sync with Azure, that is also looking good. Check if updates are latest updates are installed, that also looks good. Okay, now I have already given the key over here, and then I can click on the login button over here. So now it's gonna take me enter the code displayed on your app or device. This is, I'm not expecting, so let's see what is this showing. Where is it? So we have done that. In the provided key box, press the key you copied, login, accept the default pane browser, sign in by providing credential of a user account you are using, accept the default code displayed in the enter code pane. Okay, it's just saying accept the default code. That's good. So because I'm already logged in, I don't have to do anything. Just for the sake, I'm just gonna copy that one. sign in, you will be signing to Microsoft Azure PowerShell on the remote device. So now let's see what else do I need to do. Let me save this one as well. So here, this is the code, default code that they have given us. So here within the Microsoft Edge window on the appliance configuration manager page, verify the registration was successful. So here first let's try to log in. So email azlabs2024 at outlook.com, hit next and enter password. Okay, I got the password now, and you have signed into the Microsoft Azure PowerShell application on your device. You may now close the window. So here I can close the window if I like. Okay, so alright, so I think things are still going pretty well. So here once we are done, if you come over here, you will see that this login, and it says logged in as the azlabs2024 outlook.com. The appliance has been successfully registered, and that's what we wanted to accomplish. So I think things are still going well. Alright, so within the Microsoft Edge window on the appliance configuration manager, verify the registration was successful and select continue. So this is what we have just done. So now we can continue. Where is my continue? Okay, I think that's continue is we have already done. With the Microsoft Edge window on the application configuration manager page, manage credential and discovery sources section, add credentials. Okay, within the Microsoft Edge window, the appliance configuration manager, in the manage credential and discovery sources section. So manage credential and discovery, this is the section. Here now we need to add some credential. And so what it is, manage credential and discovery sources. Step 1 is provide Hyper-V host credential for discovery. So you may have a Windows, Linux, many different kind of compute environment in there, but the appliance needs to know, so we need to add some credential. Okay, so we're gonna click add credential and friendly name. So okay, let's click add credential. It's a friendly name AZ303. Let me copy this one, see if that works. Friendly name is this. Oh, look at that, it's now working. Username is student, and password, thank God that I don't have to type this time. There we go. So we got everything. So now hit save. So it should save your credential. And save. Within the Microsoft Edge window on the application configuration manager page, in the provide Hyper-V host cluster details section, select add discovery source. So the first step is done. Provide Hyper-V host cluster details. That's add discovery source. So you have to click add discovery source. Okay, add discovery source. In the add discovery source pane, select the add single item option and ensure the discovery source drop down list is set to Hyper-V host center. So add single item is what we are choosing, and friendly name, discovery source is chosen properly. Okay, discovery source drop down, friendly name is good, and select the AZ3030 credential in the friendly name. That's the credential that we want to choose. In the friendly name drop down list, select the credential entry. In the IP address FQDN box, type 10021. Okay, 10021. There we go, and we can hit save. So that means this Hyper-V host must be running in that with the particular IP address. And now it says validation successful, and everything looks good. So with the Microsoft Edge window on the appliance configuration manager page, in the provide Hyper-V host cluster details section, select start discovery. In general, it may take about 1.5 minutes per host for metadata of discovered servers to appear in the Azure portal. We don't have too many, we have only one, so what you're gonna expect is within a couple minutes you should have all the information. So let's, over here the last thing is doing this start discovery. So again, kind of remember what we did. We went to the browser where this application is running inside the appliance, Azure Migrate appliance. First thing it did, it checked the connection to Azure, make sure the local time is synced with Azure, and then made sure that all the updates are properly installed. Then we registered this appliance with our account within Azure, and then we provided the credential and provided the discovery source, and right now we are ready to start the discovery process. So click that one, start discovery, and here it says about 2 minutes per host. So let's see if our host that we created in the beginning, if it's gonna show up. Okay, so let's give it a couple minutes and let's kind of keep reading. So we are really doing phenomenally good for this lab. For such a big lab, I always expect some things to go wrong, and restarting and explaining why it went wrong and all that kind of stuff. So far, finger crossed, we are doing very well. Alright, so give it just a minute or so. Again, I'm gonna pause the video, and as soon as it's discovered, we're gonna continue, okay? Alright everyone, we are back. So what it says now, it says the discovery has been successfully initiated. Go to the Azure portal to review the discovery inventory. Okay, so that's good. And here again over here it says the discovery initiated status over here. So let's go back and read if we have anything else that we need to do here. I think we should be good. So second task is configure, run and view an assessment within the remote desktop session in the Internet Explorer window, displaying the Azure portal. Navigate back to the Azure Migrate server blade and refresh. So over here, let's go back and relog into this environment. And what we want to do, we want to go to Azure Migrate. So again, I'm going to search for Migrate and go to the Azure Migrate, go to the servers, and over here I don't see anything, right? So it says discovery in progress, and I can refresh this button, refreshing tools in the Azure Migrate project. Okay, so while this is going on, okay, I'm gonna come over here and keep reading. Refresh, and in the Azure Migrate server assessment style, select assess in the Azure Migrate server assessment tile. So Azure Migrate server assessment tile, create assess. So if you look at this discover server, it's already telling me that I have two. So you can now click on the assess icon. Okay, so now what is it? So let's go back. Note, you might refresh this page again. On this assess server blade, set assessment name to AZ 30308A assessment. So our discovery is now done. So now we have to set up our assessment. So this is gonna be the name of our assessment. Okay, and then select the view all link next to the assessment. So here is the view all. So you can click that link. And here I have more configuration options, right? On the assessment properties blade, specify the following settings, leave others with the default. So target location, the name of the Azure region that you are using in this lab. So I'm going to stick to East US if they are going to allow me to choose it. So let's see, East US. Okay, wow, this is VM selected 0. Okay, so let's keep doing it. Storage type is automatic, is good. Reserved instances, no reserved instances is what I need. No reserved instances. And then sizing criteria as on-prem. So sizing criteria as on-prem. Okay, so these two got grayed out, we don't need to do anything. So next is the VM series. DS V3 series is what we are going to choose. So DSV3 series, okay, and then comfort factor. Okay, read out what that is. Comfort factor is a buffer that is added on the top of the utilization data to account for things like seasonal changes, shorter time period of performance history. So it's just going to give you some little bit more extra power than what you have on-prem, just to make sure when you move to the cloud you still have some extra room, extra wiggle room to play with. Okay, so what this one, comfort factor 1 is good. Offer is pay as you go. Offer pay as you go. Now currency US dollar, discount 0, discount 0, and then VM uptime is 31 days per month and 24 hours per day. 31 days per month, 24 hours per day. They all look good. Note, considering the limited time inherent to the lab environment, the only viable option in this case is as on-prem assessment. Okay, that's good. Back on the assess server blade, ensure that the create new option is selected. So over here, assessment, should I save this one? Already have a Windows Server license. I'm not going to do anything here because they said not to change anything. Let me come back over here one last time. Assessment content selected on the Azure Migrate blade. Select the newly created assessment. So here I'm just gonna say save. Okay. Once I save this, we should be back to the assessment page again. Let's see, is it being saved? I'm just gonna give it a second. Okay, in this page, so we are back. Select the newly created assessment. On the assessment blade, review the information indicating Azure readiness and monthly cost estimate. So here, basics, sys server. So I'm gonna go and do next. And this also looks a little bit different than what you have in the lab. So here, once we did this, it's doing something, it's telling us something else. On the select the newly created assessment, review the information indicating Azure readiness. In the real world scenario, you should consider installing dependency agent to provide more insights into the server dependencies during the assessment phase. So this we have not done. In a real world, you would do that. If there are any dependent, one server is dependent to another, you have a web application that may be connected to a database server, a middle tier application, or whatever. So all those informations are important and you need this. So the next is really the exercise 3, where we're going to migrate the Hyper-V VMs using the Azure Migrate. Before we do that, let's just look at it. Create VMA1. This is the appliance server, so we don't need to do anything. Just select this one, select or create a group, enter a group name. Here this is something is a little bit different. We didn't have anything, so if I don't create anything, just click next. So probably I do need to create a group. So let's say something like dash VM group. Okay, so that's what I am gonna do. Hit next and create the assessment. Okay, so the last portion was again a little bit different than what the lab said. Lab just said go with the default configuration, but we knew or we noticed there was something else that we had to do. Okay, so again we can go back to the assess. Can we select machines to assess? No. Review here, create assessment. No, we don't need that. So go back over here and next let's just do the migration. Okay, so here for the migration we have 3 new tasks for this exercise. Prepare for the migration, configure replication of Hyper-V VMs and performing migration of the Hyper-V VMs, and finally remove the Azure resources deployed in the lab. So that's really something that you should always do. So that's really not part of the lab really. So these 3 are the actual thing that we gotta do. Alright, prepare for migration. Within the remote desktop session to this hypervisor machine, navigate back to the Azure Migrate server split and select the click here link in the navigation tool. So over here now the assessment was done over here, migration is over here. So here I don't see any click here button. So again, this is changed. I'm going to click on discover. So let's see what it says. Are your machines virtualized? Yes, with Hyper-V. So again, remember that you have to use a little bit of your imagination sometimes. Yes, with Hyper-V, and the target region, name of the region we're using the lab. So this is the East US. That's what I'm going to use. Confirm the target region for migration. So let's see, click that one, and then we should be able to hit on the create resource. Okay, and this step automatically triggers provisioning of an Azure site recovery vault. So I'm hoping that if you are doing this lab, you already have a little bit of idea about the site recovery vault, how to use it, when to use it. If you don't, go back and look at my other videos that I have done for site recovery vault in particular, or do some your own research on it. Okay, but just know that this is also required, and this step is going to deploy a site recovery vault for us on the discovery machine blade step 1. So let's just create resources, do this, and then just give it a minute for this deployment to happen. So let's come back on the discover machine split in step 1. Prepare Hyper-V host servers. Select the first download link in order to download the Hyper-V replication provider software installer. So still we have a whole bunch of things to do. So let's get this done. And so this deployment is going on. You can click over here as well to see what is going on over here from this blade, and looks like this is all done. So let's close this one. So that's what they're talking about. Prepare for replication by downloading and installing the replication provider software on your Hyper-V host. Follow the steps below to set up and configure Hyper-V host servers. So really you need to download this, prepare Hyper-V host servers, and then you need to finalize the registration process. So let's go back. Select the first download link, replication software. When prompted, launch Azure Site Recovery Provider.exe. So click download, and when prompted, okay, where am I? Am I inside my, no, I'm not inside my I'm not inside my virtual machine. I mean this hypervisor machine. So let me do this. Let me go back and sign in to portal. Here we need to do this. So portal.azure.com. So I'm in my local computers. Local computer, we are not doing it, so we need to do this in here. So I'm gonna go back to the Azure Migrate and servers. Then over here I'm gonna do the discover one more thing, and with Hyper-V, and here I'm gonna click on the download button one more time, and now this is getting downloaded inside my hypervisor host machine. So let's see, where is my downloads? It did not download it, so let's click on one more time. What is going on? Oh, this is the one that's getting downloaded. Okay, open file. So what I'll do now, I need to figure out I have too many windows open. I want to close some of these. Hold on. Okay, let's stay over here and come back over here. So this is where we are. What we have done, when prompted, launch the provider.exe, prepare. So this is where we are. So let's come back over here. this I'm gonna close it, this I'm gonna close it, okay. Then that's over here. This is not, oh, I'm sorry. So this is not the download button. The Azure Site Recovery Provider is here. You gotta click on this download button. Okay. So again, pay attention. This sometimes they're a little bit confusing. So here, Azure Site Recovery exe. Now it's getting downloaded inside my the appliance machine. So once it's prompted, you just click on it, and we're gonna start installation of this file. So let me go back and review this. This will start the Azure Site Recovery Provider setup, Hyper-V Server Wizard. Okay, so let's run this one and see what happens. Alright, so this is the Azure Site Recovery Provider setup, and this is, we are running it inside our hypervisor VM. Alright, so on the Microsoft Update page, select off and select next. Select off, so this is the Microsoft Update page, and select next. On the provider installation page, select install. So here, provider installation, we don't need to do anything, just select install, and it should start installing the Azure Recovery Services agent in this Hyper-V virtual machine. Okay, on the provider installation page, select install. This is what we're doing now. Once this is done, switch to Azure portal. On the discover machines page, select the download button in step 1 of the procedure for preparing on-premises Hyper-V hosts in order to download the Vault registration key. When prompted, save the registration key in the downloads folder. Okay, so that's a lot of things. So here we have a register button in here. So what it did, provider installation, configuring the server is done. Installation of Azure Recovery Services agent is completed. Installation of the Azure Site Recovery Provider is also completed. Continue to register this server in an Azure Site Recovery Vault. Okay, let's come back over here. Page. Switch to the Azure portal, discover machines. Save the registration key in the downloads folder. So that's, let's do that first. So here, now we're gonna download this file. Hopefully it's saved in our show in folder. So where is it saved? So it is saved in the downloads folder. I have saved it multiple times. So let me just delete this too and just keep only one copy of it. Okay, so we got that one already done. So the next thing we can do is switch to the provider installation page and select a register. This will start the Microsoft Azure Site Recovery Registration Wizard. So let's just register. So where are we? No, not this page. Here, let's click on the register, and this has started the registration process. Okay, so what you need here, on the Vault setting page of the Microsoft Azure Site Recovery Registration User, select browse, navigate to the download folders, select the Vault credential file, and then open. Okay, so from here, documents, it's not in documents, it's under downloads, and this is your file. So let's click open, and once you do, look at that, it's got all the information that it needs. So where are we? We are on step 11, so this is done. So back on the Vault setting page of the Microsoft Site Recovery Registration User, select next. So here, select next, and then on the proxy setting page of the Microsoft Azure Site Recovery Registration User, accept the default setting and select next. Proxy setting, default setting, hit next. In the proxy setting we just did, on the registration page of the Microsoft Azure Site Recovery Registration User, select finish. Next, this is trying to register this Microsoft Site Recovery Registration Wizard, and as soon as this is done, we are going to click on finish to be done with this registration process. Let's come back over here. So once the registration process completes, on the discover machines blade, select finalize registration. Here you have two different nodes. You might have to refresh the browser page displaying the discover machines played and navigate back to it, and it may take up to 15 minutes for the discovery of the virtual machines to complete. So let's go back. So again, what I'll do, I'll pause the video, let it finish the fetching resources details work, and then we'll restart our lab again. Alright, so here is the first time we have some problem. That's a real problem that we encountered. So this registration process is said idle, i.e. exception caught while acquiring ADD token, invalid client assertion contains an invalid signature. Please visit the Azure portal, Graph Explorer, or directly use MS Graph to see configured keys for app. Review the documentation. So let's say OK. It says the registration to site recovery has failed. Okay, my key is proper. Select the registration key file you have downloaded from the site recovery portal and specify vault settings. So that looked good. Proxy setting looked good. Registration is where we had trouble. Now why did it change it to green? It was like red just a little bit ago. That is interesting. Specify how network provider running on the server connect to Azure Site Recovery. Connectivity will be verified when you click next. Okay, so let's just wait for a little bit longer. On the proxy setting page, Microsoft Azure Site Recovery Wizard accept the default setting. So the registration process is where we have got stuck. That was our first point where we had some trouble, and looks like the trouble is they're saying the key that we have downloaded didn't work properly. So we may have to re-download that key file and go back and re-register if this registration doesn't work. Okay, so there somewhere was the key file, we have to re-download that. So let's stay on here, and what I'll do, I'm gonna give it a little bit more time and see if this proxy setting is connect directly to the Azure recovery without a proxy server is better, and we are able to proceed. Okay, so just let me pause one more time. If we can, then we will do some troubleshooting here. Alright everybody, so all I needed to do is I went back and I re-downloaded the key, uploaded the key, and go through the same process, and this time I didn't have any problem. It said the vault registration is successful this time, and now I can hit finish. I was just reading about how to troubleshoot common errors, but looks like that's not needed. So let's get rid of some of that stuff and go back to over here. Yeah, so where am I want to stay inside my virtual machine within the hypervisor. So here is where we are. So here we are done with the registration process, so now I can select finalize the registration. So here finish, and that should finalize the registration. Okay, on the discover machines played, select so this is the step I just did. We just hit on finish. Now we're gonna go back to the Azure portal. On the discover machines played, we're just gonna say finalize registration. So over here under finalize registration, it's not showing up, so this time I'm going to refresh, and I'm hoping that it's going to show up something, because if you don't have this you cannot move to the next stage. Okay, so let's refresh and hope for the best and discover and Hyper-V. There we go, one connected. Success. So now I can hit the finalize registration to finalize the registration process. So as soon as you clicked on that one, look what happened. It says start replicating virtual machines, finalizing registration and completing virtual machine discovery takes 10 to 15 minutes again. You can start replicating machines after 15 minutes. As I said, this is a very long lab and things could go wrong here and there. So take it slow. Do it in a day when you know that you have ample amount of time to complete this, and stay focused. Okay, while this is going on, the final registration, let's go back over here. So we're done with this. So again, it says 15 minutes for the discovery, so we probably gonna wait another 15 minutes. But look at that, we need 2 more tasks and then we are done with the lab. So once this registration is done, we're going to configure the replication of the Hyper-V VMs. Okay, and then once our configuration is done, we're just going to perform the migration of the Hyper-V VMs, and so that will migrate our on-prem VMs to the Azure environment. And once they're all done, then we're going to remove all the resources. These resources, I should remind you that these are probably some high power machines that we have deployed, especially the hypervisor, so it may cost you a lot if you keep it running when you don't really need it. So let's see how the registration process is going. So it's still running and it said it will take about 15 minutes. I'm going to pause this again and we'll resume as soon as it's done. We're getting close, so you know, stay with me. Alright my friends, it looks like the registration is now finalized. So let's maximize this, and if you look at it, the registration is now finalized. Good news. Now we can move to the next phase of the lab. So let's maximize this window again. So again, it said about 15 minutes, so we waited. It's all done. So next, configure the replication of Hyper-V VMs. Once you receive the confirmation that registration was finalized, which we just did, navigate back to the Azure Migrate server split. In the Azure Migrate server migration tile, select replicate link. So let's go back over here and Azure Migrate. Here are the servers. Okay, and here under the servers you have a replicate blade. Okay, so the replicate blade is not part of the assessment, it's part of the server migration blade, or this box now. Okay, so you click on that one. So now it's asking you, are your machines virtualized? So we have to go through the similar kind of stuff. On the source setting, replicate, are you, so again, yes, it's Hyper-V. And next, virtual machines. So here's Hyper-V, that's what we have been using. And next, select the virtual machines, and over here, let's see what we need to do. On the virtual machines page of the replicate blade, specify the following setting and select next. Okay, so here import settings from assessment, or I'll specify the migrate settings. So let me see, this looks a little different. Okay, so so we have done that on the virtual machines page, replicate blade, specify the following setting. Next, target setting. So the target setting is over here, so they must have separated this out. So what about I just select this one? Yes, apply setting in the apply migration setting from the Azure Migrate assessment. Select group, this is the only one group I created. Select assessment, this is the only assessment I have. Now virtual machine, that's the only virtual machine that we really need to migrate. So I'm modifying this just a little bit because I strongly believe that our UI has changed a little bit. So now let's go to the target setting. Okay, the target setting, it's still valid here. Import migration setting from Azure Migrate assessment. Yes, apply migration setting from the Migrate assessment. I guess we have already done that. We selected the group, we selected the assessment, and we selected that virtual machine. Okay, On the target setting page of the replicate blade, specify the following. So we want to put it in this particular resource group that we prepared. Okay, so resource group is the C 3080C 3080C, and replication storage agent. Name the storage agent you created earlier, so it should be which one did we create in this test? Hold on. This is storage account we created in migrate test 100, right? Storage account, yeah. So we remember we did migrate test and then we had to add a number, so we got that one. Virtual network, we're gonna use the migration virtual network, so migration VNet, that's available to us, and that's the only subnet, so it's automatically got selected. And availability, we don't need to do anything. On the compute page of the replicate blade, so here we're all good. Here I'm not doing anything, so next go to compute blade. On this one, ensure the standard DS2v3, so DS2v3 is already there, is selected in the Azure VM size drop down list. In the OS type drop down list, select Windows. So OS type, we know this is Windows machine. OS disk is the next, so it's is there anything available? No, there's nothing available, so just click disk on OS type disk. On the disk page of the replicate blade, accept the default settings. So I'm not really changing anything in here, I'm just going to go with review and start replication. Okay, and then on this page we're just gonna say replicate. Okay, so now it has started the server replication process. The operation is in progress. So to monitor the status of replication, navigate back to Azure Migrate server blade. In the Migrate server migration tile, select the replicating servers entry, and on the Azure Migrate server migration replicating machines, examine the status column. So we know this is going on, so replicating servers, so we can go over here. Is there, can I click on it? It's not clicking. So let's see what is going on. So over here discover server is not there. I'm gonna go back to Azure. So again, your UI has changed just a little bit, so I'm trying to be innovative and see where am I gonna find that status. Azure Migrate server migration tile, so Azure Migrate server migration tile, select the replicating servers entries. I have an entry, but it's not clickable yet, so I cannot do anything. So I would suggest the way you take a look, just look at here, starting server replication, and then just wait. Okay, the operation is in progress and it's running. That's all you know about the replication process that is going on. Let's come back over here. Wait until the status change to protected. This might take additional 15 minutes. Okay, so this is interesting. So while this is going on, we can also look for Azure site recovery and see recovery services ball if we got any. So this we got created, so we can go in there, and in here let's see what we have. Site recovery, do we have anything there? Backup, do we have anything there? We do not have. Backup items, do we have any? We don't have. Replicate items, there we go. So here, so because I know that for this migration project, it created a recovery services vault for us. So being very clever, I came to this machine, and over here I'm looking at, hey, what is there in the replicated item? It says this is the replicated item. Its status is 0% synchronized. That means the replication is most likely going on at this moment. So you can refresh this, and this status, once a replication is completely done, will change to a protected state. Once that is done, your replication is successful and we got a copy in within our recovery services vault. At that time, we're going to proceed to the next step. So again, you know what I'm going to do, and pause the video and let it replicate, and we'll restart. Alright guys, I'm just checking in. I refreshed this page. Now the status has changed to waiting for the first recovery point. So I'm going to give it just a little bit more time, and then we'll start the lab back again. Give me a few more seconds. Alright, I'm back again. I'm just going to check this current status. So let's go. So we just looked at inside the Azure Service Recovery Vault in a little bit ago. That was the status, waiting for first recovery point. I'm going to refresh it. Now look at that. Now we have the protocol status. Now we can do. Now the same thing you could have done from the Azure Migrate as well. So you can come back to the Azure Migrate servers, and then Azure Migrate server migration. If you go to the overview blade, here is they have moved these blades, so replicating machines and infrastructure servers. Okay. And over here what you see, they have a really nice kind of workflow. So it's all green. That means replicating machine is all done, and it's green. It's healthy. And test migration we have not done. And once the test migration is done, you can do a total migrate. Okay. So this is an optional step generally. So we can skip this one if we like. We can directly go to that one. We'll see what our lab is gonna say. So and over here, as I said, you can also see since our Azure Migrate is using the recovery services vault, you see the status as well inside the vault that is being used by the migrate. Okay, so let's stick to this one. Let's go back to the lab. So wait until the status changes to protected, so that it's done. So finally we can do the last step, so we can get rid of the lab and get done with it, do something else. So finally, so what you have done your assessment, you know what's going on in your on-prem environment, you have all the information, you have replicated the on-prem to the recovery services vault. Now the last thing is to deploy it, right? So perform migration of Hyper-V VMs. So again, here in the Azure portal, in the Azure Migrate server migration replicating machine, select the entry representing AZ30308A VM. On that VM replicating machine blade, select target migration. So let's start doing that. So let's come over here. So click replicating machines. So that's the machine we need to click. So click on that one, replicating machine. So let's see what shows up. So while this is showing up, let's go back. So on this replicating machine blade, select the test migration. So as I said before, test migration, it's a optional step, but it's a recommended one. So you should always test it before you actually migrate it. So here, test migration status, what does it say? It says never performed. So we would ideally like the test migration, and we can do it by clicking the test migration icon over here. So let's see, on the test migration blade, in the test, select and then select the test migration. Yeah, so just select that one. It's very simple. And select network. Where do you want to test? And we're gonna select the test virtual network, because that network we have created for testing. Okay, so in here now we're gonna start the testing, and it's again going to take about 5 minutes for the testing to be done. And if the testing goes well, we will be ready to migrate this machine from the simulated on-prem environment to Azure. So let's pause the video one more time and come back as soon as the testing is done. Alright everybody, we are back. Hopefully I don't have to pause the video and be able to finish up. We're almost at the end. So let's first check the status of our test migration. I'm just going to refresh. Let's see if I'm still logged in. Yes, I am. So I'm going to test the status of the test failover. So that is a step that is recommended. It's not mandatory. You can still move your machines, virtual machines, from your on-prem to the cloud without testing, but definitely, it's just common sense that it's not recommended. So let's see what happens. So here, test migration status. So we have done this one, and we have not seen any issues. So the next thing, usually what you do is clean up the test migration, okay, before you move to your cloud environment. We usually do that. So let's see what is the lab suggesting. Okay, so let's maximize this, come back over here. So the test migration is we have done. Wait for the test migration done, takes 5 minutes. We have done that. It's migration, we didn't see any problem. In the Azure portal, search and select the virtual machines, and note that the entry representing. Okay, so it's asking, let's go and take a look at the virtual machine. That should be named as this test. Okay, that's a convention. So here I can just search for that particular virtual machines, and look at that, it showed up. So if I click on it, so that's the test virtual machine. It's not running. No, it is running. We can stop this one and do anything we like. So let's see what else it's asking us to do. In the Azure portal, the newly provisioned virtual machine. Okay, in the Azure portal, navigate back to the Azure Migrate, replicating machine, select refresh, and verify that this virtual machine is listed with cleanup test failure pending status. Yeah, so as I said, the cleanup is again, cleanup is also not 100% required, but it's again it's recommended. So let's come back to our migrate project. So this is not the migrate project, so let's come back on this one. This is still not the migrate project, so let's just go to the migrate project and servers, and over here go to overview. So now we have done this. Okay, test migration pending is 0 because we have already done the testing. Test migration in progress is 0 because the migration is done. Cleanup pending is 1, right? So cleanup is the next thing that we gotta do. So this workflow is really nice, right? So come back over here on the Azure migrate server migration, replicating machine blade, select the entry representing AZ3038 AVM, and replicating machine blade, select cleanup test migration. So again, there are multiple places where you can do that. Here you can click on it, and over here you can choose cleanup test migration. You can do the exact same thing from the recovery services vault as well. Okay, so since we are mainly working with migrate, so let's just do it from here and click on cleanup test migration. So here you need to put some notes. I'll say test replication is successful, removing test machine. Okay, so testing is complete, delete test machine. So that's what you want. If the testing is done, you don't need to keep this machine anymore. Alright, on this cleanup test machine migration, on the test machine cleanup, testing is complete, delete virtual machine. So all of that, and then just do cleanup test. So what this is gonna do, this is gonna clean up this machine that we used for testing. So the AZ30308A-VM-test, the machine that we just saw, that machine will be gone after. So if I do a virtual machine and list all the virtual machines I have, so this test machine, you look at that, its status was deleting, it's still deleting status, and it will be gone because it's a test machine that we have performed our testing for the replication. Okay, so you can refresh this, and it's still in a deleting state. Okay, it's fine. So go back over here, and once the test failover cleanup job completes, refresh the browser page, displaying that machine that we are now replicating, and note that the migrate icon in the toolbar become automatically available. So that is gonna happen. So let's just wait for a few more minutes, hopefully not too long. I said I was not gonna pause, but maybe I do have to pause one last time before we can finish up the lab. So let's come back over here and replicating cleanup test failover pending. So this is what is, let's refresh this and look, completing test failover cleanup. So now it's completing the test failover cleanup that we already know. So once this is done, we'll be ready to perform the migration work. Okay, so I'm again going to pause the video for a second, and as soon as this cleanup is done, that pretty much means the virtual machine will be deleted. We will come to the very end of our task, where we're going to take this machine, we're going to replicate to the cloud. So again, maybe while this is going on, we can go back to our dashboard and go back and look at our paint and see what we have done. Where is our paint? So that's a terrible picture, so let's create another one, and let's kind of think while this is going on what we have done. So we really, usually you will have an on-prem environment, and we are creating virtualization using Hyper-V, right? Hyper-V. You could use VMware, VSXi, you can use multiple other things. Using that Hyper-V, you can create multiple virtual machines inside this big cluster, right? So VM 1, 2, 3, 4, and they can run Windows, Linux, all kinds of machines. Now, since we don't have a on-prem, we created this environment in the cloud where we created a very powerful machine. We call that machine a hypervisor. Okay, a hypervisor machine. It had a lot of cores and a lot of CPU, a lot of power. Inside this machine, we deployed Windows Server 2019, and we created our virtual environment to represent our on-prem environment in that way. Now there might be other labs where you are actually installing or spinning up Linux, multiple Windows, multiple Linux, multiple databases, stuff like that. But to keep this lab simple, and especially if you are using a free account, you may not have a lot of CPU available to you. So just to make sure that you can still do the lab, we have only deployed one virtual machine, one Windows machine, and then we considered that our on-prem. So now our goal is this machine, the Hyper-V machine, it's running a VM. We want to move this to our Azure environment, which is our cloud. Okay, so to do that, we use the Migrate project. Okay, so we created a Migrate project, and Migrate project, it's very useful, and it already gave us the workflow. So we started with a Migrate appliance, which we downloaded. We created first the Migrate project in the cloud. That told us, hey, register everything and get the appliance, and you get the appliance, download the appliance VHD file, then you put the appliance in here. Okay, appliance. Then you registered the appliance back to your cloud. You opened up a console and then made sure the console is connected and it has all the credential and everything to scan your Hyper-V environment to understand the nature of other virtual machines, what kind of CPU they have, what kind of memory they have, what kind of data disk they have, all that kind of stuff. So it's useful for the checking the configuration and what kind of configuration you will need if you move to the cloud. We skipped one step, that is the dependency checker. If you have multiple VMs, a large web application running, databases, they're all interconnected. The dependency agent installation is important because it's going to group and it's going to tell you what is dependent on what else. So we have not done that to keep the lab simple. So once that was done, our registration is complete. We install the recovery service vault agent in this particular server, and it when registered, it created a recovery services vault, and the Azure Migrate under the hood using the recovery services vault for the replication purpose. So this agent now configured out, okay, there is a virtual machine and it's running Windows 2019, and it knows what kind of CPU it needs, what kind of memory it has, and it lets us replicate this machine to a storage account that we have within our virtual environment. And by the way, here before we did anything, we created a virtual network. We created a prod virtual network. We created a test network, okay, and we also created a storage account. Okay, here in the storage account we were storing all the files, all the VM backups and everything. Okay, so once that's done, we made sure, okay, the replication is successful. Then we did a test failover. So when we this from our backup services vault, it created another machine and we went to the machine and we looked at it, everything looked fine. So so now it's time to finally move this VM to our prod environment. Okay, so we tested in the test environment, and that's where we are. So the deployment we did in the test virtual network. Now the testing is all good, so all green. Now we are ready. So now we are deleting this machine, we don't need that anymore, and from the replicated machine that we already had that is in protected state, we are moving that to the prod environment. Once that's done, we will no longer need our on-prem environment and everything would be moved to the cloud. So let's go back and look at that. Let's see, close this one, and it says completing test failure. So let's refresh this one more time, and now look at that. So looks like our test failover is now done. It's still in a protected state, it's healthy. Migration phase, there is nothing there. Test migration status is, you can make it big, so let's close this. So let's go back over here one more time to servers. Okay, one more time to overview. Okay, so here still everything healthy, and test migration is now saying it's done. So now look at that, this migrate button is now available to us. So now if we want, replicate your machines to Azure first. Performing test migration on replicated machines is recommended. Again, as I said, it's not mandatory, it's recommended. So we have done that. Now the final step. Now you can click on the migrate and your on-prem machine will be replicated to the Azure environment. So before we do that, let's take a look at the documentation and make sure that we are not missing anything. Okay. All right. First thing, again, I'm going to maximize this. So I'm still within the hypervisor VM and we are here. So they are saying, okay, go ahead now. You can select the migrate. On the migrate blade in the shutdown machine before migration to minimize data loss, say yes. So what that means, so before you migrate, so it's your on-prem machine, should I shut it down? They are saying yeah, choose that and then migrate this machine to the cloud. So you may have a very small downtime when this machine is being migrated, most likely. Okay, so just keep that in mind and do it maybe over the weekend or something when you know there's no business impact. So here, shut down machines before migration to minimize data loss. Here, select yes to shut down the machine and perform a planned migration with zero data loss. If you choose not to shut down the virtual machine, a final sync will be performed before the migration, but any changes that happen on the machine after the final sync is started will not be replicated. So think about it and do it. And here is the only virtual machine we are using for our lab. Again, it says its state is healthy. Migration, we have done that, and then all you need to do at this time is hit on migrate and look at that, starting migration of AZ30308A VM1. So this operation is going on. Now come back over here. Let's see what else do we need to do. To monitor the status, Azure Migrate servers will in the Azure server migration tile, select the replicating servers and replicating machines and look at the status column and verify the status displayed the planned failover finished status. Alright, so again, remember one thing, migration is supposed to be a non-reversible action. Okay, so let's come back over here, click on the replicating machine, and I'm going to refresh the state and it says planned failover was initiated. Okay, so the planned the movement of the machine from your on-prem to cloud is now in progress. Don't you think it's exciting? Just the video is probably now over 2 hours long, and I probably spent last 6 hours at least doing this crazy migration. Hopefully this video useful to you. I don't know if anybody has done anything like that on YouTube so far. At least I have not seen. Hopefully this has been useful. We have looked at many different things. So let's wait a little bit longer and most likely pause it one more time. I don't have any more things to explain to you, so cannot go back to the dashboard or the paint board. So just let it be there. And before we go, let's go back to our documentation. So once the status is done, you're pretty much done with your migration. Okay, the last thing, as I said, if you are doing this lab yourself, okay, make sure to remove your Azure resources that you have created in this lab, because definitely the hypervisor machine that I'm using right now, it's a powerful machine. It's probably costing me a lot of money per hour. It's going to do the same thing for you. And plus we created a whole bunch of resources for this, right? Virtual network, storage account, network interface card, all kinds of stuff. So you don't need it anymore. So once this is done, you can do it many different ways. There's a command that Azure is giving you, or the Microsoft is giving you. AZ get Azure resource group, get the resource group, and then there's a simple command, remove AZ resource group, and then force as a job. The job will put your command on the background and it will get rid of all the resources that we have created in this lab. So let's come back over here, let's refresh it, and it still says completing planned failover. So I'm gonna give it a little bit of time. Under virtual machines, I can do a refresh on it and see what is the status of our virtual machines. So that is it's showing that I have only one virtual machine, that is the Azure VM. Okay, I do not have any other virtual machines, right? This is the virtual machine that we have used to create the on-prem. So it's not showing that we have any other virtual machine. So what I expect, that once the migration is complete, it will be part of Azure, and doesn't matter where it's coming from, through Migrate or through anything else, it should show up under the virtual machines. That's just what I think is gonna happen. So let's wait just a little bit longer. Let's come back to the other tab and refresh it one more time. Planned failover finished. Okay, so it says planned failover is now finished. So go to the overview tab. Migrated machine is 1. Wow, so this is now migrated. Okay, so if this is migrated, let's come back to the virtual machine again. Yeah, look at that. Now I have successfully migrated the virtual machine that was running inside this hypervisor, where we have simulated the on-prem, from inside this server to our Azure environment. Wow. I can't believe that I have done that without any major problem. So let's just look at the machine for the last time. Okay, so it looks like I got a private IP address. It's the D2SV3. It's a vCore 8 gigs memory. It's a pretty solid machine. It's running just fine. And computer name, operating system is Windows. There's no name associated. That's fine. Let's see. So we don't have any public IP address. Now I can do anything with this machine. Assign public IP address or do whatever I like. So that's about it. And as I said, this lab took us how long? Let me see. Let me look at the video. Before I finish this whole lab, let's go back over here. So it's 2 hours and 53 minutes already. So I spent a lot of time on this video. So if you're watching, if you like it, please give me a like and subscribe, Share it with your friends. If you're specially studying for the Azure Architect Design Expert exams, AZ 304 is where the Migrate is heavily tested. So good luck. Do this lab multiple times. Take your time, understand all the concepts that you need to understand. And with that, thank you for watching. It's been a long video. Hope you had the patience to watch it. Have a great day. Good luck with your certification. Thank you.